started on our backs. Make sure everyone can hear me. I think everyone can see me. All right. On our backs, and you can make yourself comfortable. And if you want to put your pillow or your blanket or anything behind your head, you can do that. And you're gonna just get set up with your legs relaxing on your chair, your couch, whatever you're using. And let's rest the palms somewhere on the body. So you can place, one hand on the belly, one hand on the heart, or both hands on the belly, both hands on the heart, whatever is calling to you this morning. If it's comfortable, you can allow your eyes to flutter closed. Invite the body and the energy to settle and start to tune into your natural breath this morning. So, no need to change it or do anything differently. But see if you can just check in with it, see how it's moving, where in your body you notice it. Is it flowing with ease or is it feeling restricted? Can you feel the breath going down into your diaphragm and your belly and your pelvic floor? Or do you notice it's all up in your shoulders and your neck? And we're just going to take a few moments of stillness just to arrive, noticing any sensations in the body, any tingling or any cooling or heat in the body. Noticing any thoughts going on in the mind. Noticing any emotions you're feeling. And if you just feel like you need a few more minutes of stillness, you can always stay here and take your time. And if you're ready to get moving, we are going to start with the arms up, and you can relax your wrists. So you kind of make like zombie arms, is how I like to think of them. The wrists just kind of fall in and the fingers relax. Yeah. And then your head is pretty relaxed, right? You're not holding any tension in the neck. And all you're going to do is lift your shoulder blades off the mat and then drop your shoulder blades down. Reach your arms back behind you. Take a nice big stretch and then draw your arms forward. So the movement is a lift of the shoulder blades, a dropping of the shoulder blades, and then a reaching back with the arms and a drawing forward of the arms. So see if you can just start to move at your own pace here. Right, I love just starting out with pretty subtle micro movements to help you get warmed up and tuned into what's happening in your body today. This 90-90 shape is super restorative for the spine and the hips. Awesome. We'll do one more. So shoulder blades lift, shoulder blades lower, arms go back. And now arms are going to come all the way down by your sides, spread through your palms and push your hands into the floor. And now we are going to start to activate the backs of the legs and the calves and the abs a bit. So see if you can flex your ankles, pull your toes towards your face, and then think about dragging your heels back on your chair. Okay. And you might need to adjust. Like I just had to adjust my position so that my heels were closer to me. You probably don't want your whole entire calf on the chair, probably just right around the ankle. Okay. Now you're going to keep that pulling motion and start to roll your spine up. You're going to go up as high as you're comfortable in this moment. And then you're going to roll your spine all the way down. Okay, so see if you can explore this, right? So you're dragging your heels back towards your butt. That's step one. And then you're rolling up one vertebrae at a time, coming into some hip extension. You decide how high up that you go. Okay, so you don't have to go very high. You'll notice to really feel this in your hamstrings and your glutes. Good. See if you can make it pretty incremental though. So we're not really thrusting the hips, we're definitely rolling up and rolling down. Let's see how you feel as all these different muscles start to talk to you. And we'll pause with our hips up. Okay, I'm not coming up as high as I possibly can. I'm just lifting maybe a couple of vertebrae, staying pretty tucked in my tailbone. Gonna hold, and now my arms are gonna go up and back. They go all the way behind me. They open up nice and wide. My palms are facing the ceiling. I'm making a big circle with my arms all the way down by my sides. Okay, see if you can do this 5 times. Super big, wide wingspan here. Yeah. And you decide if you get through a couple and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't keep my hips up. That's totally fine. But let those hips settle on the floor. Okay. And you can re-lift them when you feel ready. Okay. So you don't have to always hold it. Um, really want to listen to your body on that. Good. So about 5 of these big arm circles, hips can be up or down. And then we will settle the hips down if they were lifted. And you're going to extend this left leg straight up towards the ceiling. We're going to start with a leg wave here as we get into some single leg stuff. So you're just waving this left leg inwards and outwards, just noticing what you feel in that left hip. Yeah, love a good leg wave. Awesome. And then from here, pause your hip movement and just start to circle the ankle. So see if you can keep your hip and your knee completely still and just get into this ankle joint. Okay. So see how it's moving today. And then go ahead, reverse your direction. Okay. And so we're prepping here for some standing up movements. We're going to do that, really get into some ankle work in a bit. Really nice. Okay, from here, we're gonna reach the right arm up. Okay, so it's left leg and right arm. Couple of options. Option one is to keep your hips on the floor and start to lower your leg as you reach your arm back and then draw them right back to center. Okay, this option is still pretty great. You're gonna get the coordination piece. And if you think about dragging your right heel towards your butt, you're gonna get that right hamstring. This might be plenty for some of you. Some of you are gonna wanna lift your hips up a little bit off the floor, and that would be option two, right? It's gonna be a lot more sensationful, right? So just choose the option that works for you today. And we just want the arm and the leg moving at the same time. Good. Awesome. And then if your hips were lifted, you can drop the hips down, relax your right arm down. And now we're going to do a circle with this left leg. Okay, so big hip circle. Yeah. Try to keep your right pelvis or your right side pretty glued to the mat here. So we're just isolating the left hip. Great. And then reverse directions. Awesome. And then let's draw both knees to the chest. Gently rock the low back side to side. So low back massage. Great. And then we'll pause. Take a nice in breath with your head on the floor. And then a nice out breath as you curl your chin to your chest. See if you can curl yourself into a really nice tight ball. And then relax your head back on the floor. And then just gently turn your head towards like your right side or your right shoulder. Take a nice in breath with the head on the floor and a nice out breath. Curl your right chin towards your right collarbone. And then relax the head down and head turns over to the left. And then same thing, pick up your head, chin to left collarbone. Awesome. And then go ahead, bring your feet back on your chair. And now we're going to extend the right leg straight up and visit our leg wave. Great. So it's going in and out. Kind of see how this hip is feeling. If you need to keep this right knee a little bent, that's totally fine, right? Some of you are going to want to straighten it. Some of you are going to want to have a little bend. See what feels right. There's not a specific right way with this. Awesome. And then we'll pause and circle the ankle joint. So the knee and the hip are not moving. Really want you to see if you can get into your ankle, right? It doesn't always get to move in all the ways it possibly can just because of how we live. So this is our opportunity to get into it and then reverse directions. Awesome. Now you're going to reach the left arm up. If you're keeping the hips down, you just gently pull your left heel towards your butt and arm goes back, leg goes forward, and they come together. Okay. You can also try to connect to your core here, and you might feel a little activation helping coordinate your movement. If you want more challenge, you lift your hips, right? And you do it with the hips up. They're not going to be up very high though. Right? And that's totally fine. Don't need them to be up very high. It's a lot of load for this left hamstring. Good. Awesome. Let's do like two more. Great. If your hips are up, you can settle them down and we'll go into our hip circles with this right leg. And I like for you to kind of decide, okay, how fast do I want my hip circle to be right now? Is it feeling really good to move slowly? Is that helping me stay calm and in my body? Or is it feeling more intuitive to do your hip circle a little faster? Awesome. So bring that right heel back on the chair. Now, see if you can scooch back. So just so that I love varying up the angles of our movements here. We're going to revisit our two-legged bridges, but you're changing the lever of the legs, right? So you're making it a longer lever. My angle is greater than 90 degrees now, okay? So arms can stay relaxed, heels are pulling back, and now see if you can visit your bridges. And you're probably just going to feel different part of your hamstring kicking on. Okay. Some of you, this might feel like you can get your hips higher. Some of you, it actually might feel more challenging. Okay. We're all a little different, but I just want you to see the difference of your two legged bridge versus that single, or sorry, two legged with the long lever versus the short lever. Yeah. Good. We'll pause with both hips up. Okay, both hips up. Now, all you're going to do is see if you can tip your pelvis forward. You're going to create a little arch in your low back and then tuck your tail under. So we're practicing our anterior tilt and our posterior tilt. If it's too much with the hips up, because it gets to be quite a bit right away, then just drop your hips down. Okay, so either one, and it's subtle. Okay, it's subtle and it's not a big movement. It's not abrupt or jolting. It's smooth and fluid, right? Tips forward, tucks under, and you'll probably feel lots of feelings. Good. Yep. And some of us might have trouble accessing this movement. That's okay. Part of the learning experience, right? Okay. Settle those hips down. Take the knees nice and wide towards the shoulders. Yeah. And then see if you can start to circle the knees. So one's going clockwise, one's going counterclockwise. Check in again with those hips and the low back. And then you can go ahead, reverse your direction. Great. And then we're just going to do like one more thing on our back before we change our shape. So grab your yoga block. If you don't have a yoga block, that's totally fine. You can just pretend. We're gonna actually stick it right in between the shins with legs straight above us. So you could just imagine that you were kind of holding a block right in between your legs. You could also use like a tissue box here if you didn't have a block, okay? And start to press gently into your block, or if you're just pretending, then just try to keep your feet equidistant, okay? Take the hands behind the head, and we're gonna do a nice breath in. And then as you exhale, you're kind of gonna do like a crunch up, okay? But when you crunch up, try to keep, like, imagine that you were trying to round over a big beach ball here, okay? So you're not just like pulling or sucking in your belly, you're kind of rounding up and over the beach ball. And then relax your head down. And see if you can play with that a few times, okay? So we don't always um, flex the spine in this way in this class, but today we are because it's not a bad thing to do. And sometimes it can be helpful for really feeling those abs, okay? Good. And then relax the head down. Arms are going wide out to a T. Palms face the ceiling. Press the backs of the hands into the floor. And then let your legs sway over to your left as far as you want without your right shoulder blade lifting up. And then sway your legs over to the right as far as you want without the left shoulder blade lifting up. And you're going to sway side to side. Okay. And as you get going, you might be able to go a little further each time you go to one side, right? Or you might keep this a smaller movement, and that'll be great too. Yeah, see what you feel. So sometimes we do a movement like this more for relaxation and feeling good in the low back. And that might still be the case, but in this one, we really want to get into our core muscles and our oblique muscles, right? Those muscles on the sides of our abdomen. Good. Let's do one more per side. Depending on how much you're squeezing your block, you might also get some inner thigh muscles here. Okay, awesome. You can lose the block, maybe hug the knees in one more time, rock it out side to side, and then go ahead, transition over. We'll head to our tabletop. So if you had your chair or your ottoman or whatever you were using, you can move it out of your way. If you struggle with balance, you might want to use it a little later, but you don't need it right now. So feel free to set your blocks up at the top of the mat. Feel free to pad your knees. If you need a little cushioning, if you're not on carpet, you might want to pad the knees here. Awesome. So we'll come into table, spread through the palms, okay, and push the floor away from you. So think about spreading out your shirt with your shoulder blades or spreading out the back of your shirt, okay? We're going to start with toes tucked under, and we're going to go right into a knee hover, okay? We're going to go right into a knee hover. We had kind of a pretty good warm up on our back, so I think you'll be ready for it. Right into a knee hover, okay? If you can't lift both knees, just lift one, okay? You can always just lift one leg here. Great. And then go ahead, drop your knees down. So see if you can do that about 6 times, okay? You're either lifting both knees and dropping them down, or you could alternate, lift one leg, drop it down, and lift the other leg, drop it down, okay? So either one is great. See if you can think about pulling your palms towards your legs. It's a little bit of a different action that'll activate the core. Good. Stay with your breath. Just see how your body feels going up and down here. And then you'll settle the knees, uncurl your toes if they were tucked, and then rock your hips right back towards your heels, right back to 6 o'clock. Rock forward, let your shoulders pass your fingers. So let your shoulders go forward. You're loading your wrist joint intentionally. And now rock the hips back towards 7 o'clock. So back towards the left. Okay. And then you're going to stay in that diagonal line and come forward and load your right hand. So your shoulder is kind of passing your right fingertips. You're loading the right hand. And see if you can stay in this diagonal line and go back and forth a few times. So you go back into the left, so back to 7 o'clock. And then when you go forward, you're probably at like 2 o'clock. Okay. So see how that goes. You're going back into like this left glute and then forward loading the right hand. We'll do like one more. Okay, so we're increasing the load on that right hand. Good. You can come to center to reset and now go back into the right. So we're at like 5 o'clock and then forward into the left hand, 10 o'clock. Good. And see if you can play with going back and forth in this diagonal line a few times. Yeah. And if you wanted more of a challenge or you wanted to really load this left hand, you could play with taking your right hand even off the floor, right? You decide though, it's all going to depend on what's going on in your wrists, forearms, shoulders today. Yeah, really nice. I know I took our like restorative feel good movement and made it something a little more challenging. Good. Okay, now go ahead, come down onto your forearms and see if you can spin your palms up to face your face. If that doesn't work for you, then you can keep your palms facing the mat, okay? Good. From here, let your head droop. Like let all the effort in you were doing to keep your head up, let the head fall to the floor, okay? And you're just like letting it be like a rag doll, all right? And then from here, we'll move through our rhomboid push-up. So your rib cage moves towards the floor, you hug your shoulder blades, and then push the floor away from you, spread your shirt apart. And you're just gonna move back and forth here a few times like this with our knees down, and we'll progress it in a moment, okay? So you could think about this as stretching out the back of your shirt and then scrunching the back of your shirt, spreading it out and scrunching it. You could think of it as moving the rib cage towards the ceiling or moving the rib cage towards the floor. Something different resonates with all of us. And you're going to start to feel the shoulders working quite a bit if you haven't already. Okay, from here, we're going to keep going with this. You have a couple options. You can do this with one leg lifted, okay, and practice doing it with one leg lifted and then the other leg lifted, or you're going to do what we did earlier, tuck the toes, lift the knees, keep the knees up, and see if you can do the movement there. So that's going to place the greatest load on the body. And I would just go ahead and say this is a full body movement, right? Lots of muscles and things are working. Good. Okay, so you can either have both knees up, both knees down, or one leg lifted. Might get the heart rate up a little, get the blood flowing a little more. Good. You can keep your head relaxed. Okay, settle the knees down if they were up, uncurl the toes. Let's rock back to a child's pose. Take any variation of child's pose that's going to feel good to you. You can make a pillow for the forehead or keep the arms reaching forward. Just reconnect to your breath for a few moments. And then we'll come forward and we're gonna set up to head to our downward facing dog. So we'll curl the back toes under, lift the knees, rock your hips towards your heels first, get a nice length on the spine, and then reach your hips up and back. If you wanna come through a bent knee version first, that will help you get your hips back. Then maybe start to straighten the legs any amount. And if you wanna pedal your feet, you can visit that. Kind of check out how your down dog is feeling today. And then we're gonna go ahead and walk the feet all the way towards the hands at the front of the mat. Grab one block with you and then roll your spine on up to standing. You can go medium speed here as you roll on up. Awesome. And then just take a second once you arrive. Just shift your weight side to side. See if you can find your footing or really connect to the bottoms of your feet. And they're connecting into the mat here. Good. You'll take your block right in between the palms and just push them gently into your block. That's going to get our pec muscles to start to kick on. Okay. So you're pressing the palms into the block and then you're going to reach your arms up and pause. So think about taking a full body stretch here. You're reaching your hands up as high as you could and your feet, right, are kind of pushing into the floor. Okay, so full body stretch. And then you're going to push into your left foot a little more as you side bend to your right. Now we're going to pause in our side bend, and I want you to shift your hips to your left. So it's going to increase the stretch a bit, is my guess. Okay, so hips go to the left, and you're reaching your arms to the right. Take a breath or two. And then slowly use your side waist muscles, come through center, grow nice and tall and reach your block up a little higher. And now start to side bend to your left, push into your right foot as you shift your hips more to your right. Okay, so we're adding a hip shift to our usual side bend. Take a few breaths. And then slowly come through center. Grow nice and tall one more time. Great. And now from here, you're going to sit into your chair pose. Hips go back, arms go forward, block is out in front of you. Good. And then a few times, just so we can give the shoulders a little reprieve, pull the elbows next to the ribs and then reach the arm forward. So just move back and forth here a few times. Sometimes just holding that block up and pushing the palms together really tires out the arms and the shoulders. Good. Let's see if you can do this in your squat. You decide how low you go. Good. Okay, so from here, we're gonna pause with the block out in front of us. If that's too much for you, just pull it in here. Always an option. Okay, so again, you decide how much you're coming into your squat. Okay, you could have a little knee bend, you could have a big knee bend, but we're gonna do something we haven't, I don't think we've done in this class. All you're gonna do is try to pull your left toes up towards your face. So if you're really deep in your squat, you might not be able to get the foot lifted, in which case come up a little. So it's your toes and your arch, right? That's coming up. Now drop it down and then go to your right foot. Try to pull your right toes towards your face and drop it down, okay? And you're just gonna alternate here. And you're gonna start to probably feel lots of work in your shins, right? Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, I think. If you're too low, like I said, you won't be able to get the foot up. So come up a little higher. Good, and you're just alternating. Good. Awesome. Okay, root down through both feet, stand all the way up. You can just put the block in one hand and gently rotate side to side. Take a little bit of a rest. Really, really nice. Okay, so from here, we're gonna come into some hinging. That was kind of squat mechanics. Now we'll do some hinging mechanics. So soften the knees, but they're not gonna be bending too much like a squat. I want you to shift your hips back and reach your blocks forward. Okay, so now hips are back towards 6 o'clock and your block is like at 12 o'clock. Okay, now we'll do our rows here. Okay, so we did them in a squat before. Now you're in a hinge, so it might feel a little different. If you have trouble hinging, just think in your head, like, how far back can I get my hips? Can I reach it back towards whatever is behind me? Yeah, good. And then from here, you decide. Arms can be in if your shoulders need a rest. Arms can be out in front of you if you're okay with that. And you're gonna practice that same foot movement. Pick up the bottom of the foot and then pick up the other one. So it's the same exact foot movement. Toes are pulling towards you, dropping down, pulling towards you, dropping down. I know. I don't know if it's just me, but this feels extra hard today. So the toes are pulling towards the knees. Good. Awesome. From here, you can continue on down. You can place your block. Let's take a moment in like a rag doll or some type of forward fold that feels good to you. So if you want to grab opposite elbow and sway side to side, you can do that. If you want to grab behind your calves, do that. But see if you can bend your knees generously, generously, and relax your head. And take a few breaths right into your back body. And then when you're ready, we'll plant the hands down on the mat, step back to your plank or your knees down plank. Okay, plank or knees down plank, either one. And then all we're gonna do is heel pulses here. So if you're in classic plank, your heels are pulsing back and forth. If you're in knees down plank, you could have your toes tucked or untucked and you're just pulsing your hips back and forth. Okay, so both are great options. Awesome. So from plank, we're going to drop just the right knee down. So if you had both knees down, then lift your left leg behind you. If you had both knees up, just drop your right knee down. Awesome. Okay. So right knee is down. And from here, okay, I want you to see if we're going to do some fun push-ups, basically. So what you're going to do is start to bend your elbows by your sides. They don't go out into a T. Okay, they're closer to the body. You go and you lower your chest as much as you want towards the floor as your back leg lifts behind you. And then you push the floor away from you and you come back up. So see if you can play with that on this side. Okay, you go down and then you push into the hands and press up.
Yeah, and you can't really do it wrong. You might explore with just bending your elbows a little and then pushing away, or you might explore with going much lower to the ground. You decide. We're just trying not to flare the elbows out by our sides too much if possible. Good. So it's really nice to get strong in a variety of shapes and positions, not always in the same way. And this push-up variation helps us do that. Great. If you want to settle these left toes on the ground, we're going to slide them out to the side and then walk the hands in towards the right knee and roll the spine on up. Great. So your left big toe is in line with your right knee. You're going to relax your left arm down your left leg, reach your right arm up, take a really nice side bend towards the left. Take a moment here, really visualize your breath going into your right side ribs. And then you're going to bring your right hand down to either the floor or a block. So if the floor is too far away, bring it onto a block and then side bend the other way, right? You can think about pushing your left foot down and reaching those left fingers as far away from your left foot as you can. Now to come back up, try to use your side waist muscles and not momentum to pull yourself up and go back the other way. Good. And now this is a great time for you to listen to you and flow and move at a pace that works in your body. So if you feel like I'm going too fast or too slow for you, you can adjust accordingly, right? But try not to push off that hand. Try to use your side waist muscles. Really nice job. Love it. Okay, we're going to pause here. You're going to turn your left toes to face outward. So your left heel is in line with your right knee, and your left toes are facing like west. Okay, good. Now from here, I want you to put your hands on your hips and try to drop your left hip down. Okay, so it might be hiked up, drop it down. Yep. Now you're going to connect your left elbow inside your left inner thigh and push them together. Okay. And when you push them together, you might start to feel your inner thigh adductor muscles working. The right arm goes out here, and then you're driving your knee past your toes and pulling it in. Good. See if you can do that a few times. Yeah. Continue to press the inner thigh and the elbow together. You don't want to lose that connection here. Good. The next time you drive your knee forward, you pause and you extend this arm alongside your ear. Yes, and take a few breaths, and you're just going to hold and breathe. Okay, see what you feel, see what you notice. And we'll slowly come up. We're reaching both arms up, growing nice and tall, and then controlling the hands down to the floor. You're not changing your lower body position. Both hands are reaching the floor. Okay, now see if you can keep pulling your left knee back. So you're coming into an external rotated position with your left hip. And now reach your left arm forward like you're going to shake someone's hand. So it's a little variation of a bird dog, okay? Now bring the left hand down and reach your right arm forward. And now alternate reaching one hand forward and reaching the other hand forward. Awesome job. And then from here, you can take this left leg and shoot it behind you. Okay, the ball of the left foot connects to the floor, and you're reaching your right leg, your one that's down on your knee, all the way up and back into your three-legged downward dog. Press the floor away from you. Now rock forward, draw your right knee towards your nose and reach it all the way up and back. And then rock forward, draw your right knee towards your left elbow and reach it all the way up and back. And then right knee towards right elbow, all the way up and back. And we are going to bring the right foot down and head towards your belly. So if you want to drop the knees down first, you can. If you want to come through your plank, you can do that, but we're going to lower all the way down onto our fronts. Reach the arms forward. Relax your forehead down on your mat. Bend your knees. Gently sway the legs side to side. Reconnect to your natural breath. Reset, recalibrate. Awesome. Okay, so from here, let me get my blocks out of the way. We're gonna make an X with the body. So the arms are gonna make an X at the top, the legs are gonna widen and make an X at the bottom. Okay, now start out by pushing your palms down and the tops of your feet down into the mat, just pushing everything down and then relaxing. So this is kind of the first step in learning how to create neural drive, right? We want to be able to push into the floor and then invite the whole body to relax. So see if you can do that a few times. Push into the floor, tops of feet and palms, and then invite the whole body to relax. And then you'll push everything into the floor. You're going to maintain this low grade pressure with both feet and your right hand, and you're going to lift your left arm up. Pick your head up, look at your left hand, and then you're gonna imagine this arm was gonna try to rotate you all the way on your back. So you're gonna lift up and do a little rotation. But before your left hip lifts, you reverse it and roll back down. Now push your left hand into the floor, lift your right arm up, pick your head up, look at your right hand, and then little rotation on this right side, right hip stays on the floor. So see if you can alternate back and forth. Try not to lose your low grade pressure in the limbs that are pushing into the floor. I know it's hard to keep. We're focusing on so many different things, but see if you can keep that pressure. Okay. And then if you want to start to explore these, what it feels like to actually let that hip lift up a little, you can. And you might notice that you get a little further. Okay. You're still not actually rolling over or anything, but you might notice that if you don't force the hip down, you get a little further, but it changes the rotation. We'll do one more on each side. One more on each side. Awesome. And now we're down for a second, relax the body. And then we're going to lift everything up, arms, legs, head, chest, everything up. And then lower everything down. So we're still in this X shape. See if you can lift maybe 5 to 7 times. Try to stay with your breath. Try to make it, a fluid or smooth movement as opposed to like this big abrupt jolting movement. Good. So we're getting all the posterior chain muscles working, all the muscles in the backs of the body work together. Okay, on your last one, whichever one is next, we're going to pause and hold. Okay. And while you're holding, you can start to circle the arms. Okay. You could do just the arms, or you could also circle the legs, which will challenge the brain and the body in a very unique way. You decide. You can do nothing circling, you could do arms, or you could do arms and legs. And if you did arms and legs, see if you can reverse your direction. Try to stay with your breath. Great job. And then we're going to bend the elbows, make a pillow for the forehead. You can bring the legs closer together, bend the knees, gently sway your legs side to side. So letting the low back and the hips relax. Take a few moments, reconnect to your breath. And then you're going to relax the legs down, reach the arms forward for a moment. Let's visit a full body stretch here. See how it feels to lengthen your fingers and your toes as far away from each other as you can. And then drag your elbows back into your Sphinx. Okay, so palms are going to be flat for right now. Tops of feet are down. You're dragging your elbows towards your hips and growing your heart through your hands. Okay, so see if you can just take a few breaths here. We're not sinking towards the floor. You're pushing the floor away from you and spreading your upper back. Good. Awesome. Now you're going to spin your palms up to face the ceiling and make fists. And then keep your forearms down, but just lift your fists. So curl your fists into your elbows. Squeeze your fists. And then open the hands and yep, and open the fist. Good. Open the fingers. Good. See if you can move through that about 5 or 6 times. The more you squeeze your fist and move it towards your elbow, the more work you'll feel in those forearms, right? And sometimes we really are like, wow, my forearms tighter than I realized. Yeah, sometimes the forearms get kind of ignored, but we're paying attention to them today. Okay, so pull the fist towards the elbows. Yeah, good. Awesome. Let's turn the hands so they face each other. So we're on pinky side edge of forearms. Curl your toes under. Option one is to lift your hips. Option two is to lift your hips and your knees and come into a forearm plank. Okay, we're on pinky side edge. You're dragging your elbows towards your toes. And the movement, I want you to let you drop your head like we did earlier so it moves towards the floor. And then pick your head up, pull it in line with your spine. See if you can play with that. Head lowers. You could do this with the knees down. And then head lifts, pulls back in line with your spine, right? Yes, see if you can play with that a few times. This is great for practicing the undoing of the forward head posture scenario, right? So you're practicing pulling that head back in line with your spine. Awesome. Head's in line with the spine. You can either head towards your child's pose, or if dolphin is in your practice, you can start to walk your feet towards your elbows, towards your dolphin. See if you can have bent knees first. Push the floor away from you. Reach your torso towards your legs. Then maybe starting to straighten the legs. Start to straighten the legs if it works. Connect to your breath for a few cycles. And then when you're ready, we'll all settle the knees down, uncurl the toes, head towards your fetal position, child's pose. Hands come next to the feet, forehead relax on your mat, and let the shoulders melt away from your spine. Take a few moments here, let the belly be soft, let all the thinking, tensioning, working, let it all go. Maybe you like to rock side to side, and that's more soothing. Maybe you like to stay still. And then we're going to come on up to table, tuck the toes, rock the hips back, and then up towards a downward dog. So now rock forward to plank. And this time we're going to drop the left knee down to the floor and visit our fun push-ups on the other side. So you're going to start to lower your chest towards the floor, any amount you decide, and then propel yourself on up, right? Your back leg is lifting, it goes up into the air, and then you push the floor away from you. Yeah, really nice. And it's interesting to play with just going down a little bit, or just going down about halfway, or going down as far as you possibly could. This is a great opportunity to practice not letting your head lead the way, keeping your head in line with your spine as you do your movement. Yeah. We did a bunch on the other side, so we'll do a bunch on this side. And then we are going to be taking this right leg and dragging it out to the side. So your right big toe now is in line with your left knee. The leg is straight. You walk your hands into your left knee and roll on up. Nice. Relax the right arm down the right leg, reach the left arm up, grow nice and tall, and then you can side bend towards your right foot. So see if you can imagine your breath going into your left side ribs, and then you'll reverse directions. Your left hand comes to the floor or a block, you decide. Extend your right arm alongside your ear, lengthen the right side of your body as much as you can. And then as you come on up to reverse it, try not to push off that hand or use momentum. Try to use your side waist muscles. Good. And see how this flowing movement feels on this side. Yeah, moving at your own pace. Awesome. And then you're going to take this right leg, bend the knee, and turn the foot outwards. So it's at about a 90-degree angle. The heel is in line with the knee. Hands are on hips for a second. You can drop this right hip down or just even play with that idea that you're moving your pelvis. One hip's dropping, one hip's hiking. Yeah. Okay. Now try to keep this down. You're going to lean towards your right leg, connect your right elbow inside the right inner thigh. Left arm goes out like this, and then you're driving the right knee past the toes and then pulling it back. Okay. But priority number one is the connection between right elbow and right inner thigh. They're driving together. Good. Really nice. The next time you drive the knee forward, we pause and extend this arm over top of head. So we're going to hold and breathe, see what we notice, see what we feel, right? Holding things definitely changes the experience. Good. And then when you're ready, you can push into the ball of that right foot, kind of propel yourself up. Both arms come up, you grow nice and tall, and then they're shoulder width apart now. So keep that distance as you bring your hands to the floor. Keep pulling your right knee back as you reach your right arm forward. So you're lengthening your right hip away from your right hand. Bring the right hand down and then reach your left arm forward. And then just like we did on the other side, we're going to alternate our reaches. Nice, nice job. So from here, you're just sending your right leg straight back behind you. Okay, you're gonna be on the ball of that right foot and you're gonna reach your left leg all the way up and back, three-legged downward dog. Really reach back throughout that left heel. Rock forward one time, draw your knee to your nose and rock back. And then rock forward, draw your left knee towards your right elbow and rock back. And then rock forward, left knee towards left elbow and rock back. And then you can drop that leg down. You're in downward dog and we're walking our hands all the way towards our feet at the back of our mat, rooting down through the feet and rolling the spine on up. And then taking a moment. So you can shift side to side. You can rotate with the body side to side. Just see if you can check in. Notice you might want to take stillness for a second. Just check in with your internal environment. See how your body's feeling. Fully feeling pretty warmed up by now. Good. So we are going to bring the feet closer together and start to let the knees go past the toes. So it doesn't need to be anything specific. If you want your feet a little bit apart, that's fine. I just want you to get this motion. We're kind of moving in and out of dorsiflexion here. It's all about knees passing toes. Yeah. Good. Then you're going to drive them forward. We'll bring the hands on the thighs and you're going to start to circle the knees around the feet. And again, like, don't worry, you can't really, like, in quote, do it wrong. Your feet might move a little. See if you can get the knees to circle the ankles, right? Yeah. Good. And then we'll go in both directions. So just see what you feel throughout your thighs and your glutes, maybe into your shins, your ankles, your feet. Just see what you notice. Okay, we're gonna stay low. Stay with me. This is a little different. You might have done it before. You're gonna stay low, whatever that means to you. Your knees are going out over your toes, and you're gonna take a walk. So it's kind of like a duck walk. You're gonna walk to the other end of your mat. Yep, and you can do like opposite arm, opposite foot, or you can just relax your arms down by your side and not worry about the arms. And then we're gonna go backwards. Walking backwards is probably a good thing. We should all do a little bit more. But see how low you can stay. And I know some people get nervous about their knees here. So this is a great opportunity to practice discerning between pain or discomfort or just something you're not used to doing. Okay. And if it's pain, you might back out of it just a little. and continue on. And if it's just discomfort, you might just explore it and start to notice, oh, this is a little different. I don't always do this, right? This is too easy. Just get a little lower, right? And it will not be easy. So we're literally just going to walk forward and back on our mat, staying low, letting the knees stay past the ankles. Good. Just see what you notice happening in your core, just everywhere. Yeah, you're just going back and forth. Good. Awesome. So we'll meet at the back of our mats. We're going to stay low, bring our hands on our thighs, and we're going to bounce. Okay, so big into bouncing lately. So many benefits. You're just going up and down, and you decide. You can't, again, another one, you can't bounce wrong. So you can either really drive your knees far forward. If you don't like that, you can keep your knees back and just bounce your hips up and down. Just want to kind of imagine you are on a little bit of a trampoline here and you're bouncing the body. Really nice. We're gonna root down through the feet, stand all the way up, grow nice and tall. Okay, relax the arms all the way down. Drop your chin to your chest, roll your spine down, one vertebrae at a time, and we're walking all the way out to a plank. Okay, if you can, right, walk out to the plank. If you need to drop your knees down, you can drop your knees down for it. Okay, and then we're gonna walk right back in. So if you need to do knees down, you can just walk your hands in and out between like a child's pose and a knees down plank. But if you're okay, see if you can walk your hands back towards your feet and then walk your hands back to your plank. Okay, and then we're gonna rainbow it up a bit. So either variation you're doing, you're gonna start to walk your hands out to the left. So you can do this with your knees down or your knees up. You're gonna walk them all the way to the left, see how that affects your core. Come back in, and then walk them all the way to the right. And see how that affects your core. And see if you can alternate side to side here, right? We go for middle planks all the time. Let's see if we can do a few out to one side. Okay, you can always take a moment and rest anytime you need. Great, now the last one, we will walk to the middle. You're in your classic plank. We'll drop the knees down, uncurl the toes, take a child's pose. So if you want to let your arms and your shoulders relax, if they got tired there, you could always make a pillow for your forehead. If you want more of a stretch under the armpits, you can keep your arms reaching forward and press the palms into the mat. You decide, but take a few moments here. Good. And then let me just get my blocks. I kicked them out of the way. So from here, we're going to come through our table. And from table, just step your right foot forward in between your hands. And then you're going to take both hands to your right thigh. Yep, both hands to right thigh. And your back toes, depending on your toes, might be untucked and they might be tucked. You decide. You're going to drive this right knee forward, right? Lots of this practice today. Knees going past the toes and then coming back in. Good. Okay, so now you have an option. We're gonna do the same movement with our back knee lifted, or you'll continue with the knee down. So if you're okay to lift the back knee, push into your palms, lift your back knee. So now you're in this lunging position. You're leaning over your front leg. And now see if you can let the knee travel forward. The heel doesn't lift. So you might want to lift the heel, but don't lift the heel. Good. Really nice. Okay, you could hold on to something for balance, or you could keep your back knee down. Good. Oh my gosh, so nice. Okay, from here, your knee's gonna park itself over your ankle and see if you can grab your yoga block. So if you need to drop your back knee down first to go get them, that's fine. But we're gonna have one block in each hand. Okay, if you're okay in this shape, stay here. If you need to drop your back knee, stay here. Okay, you decide. You're leaning over your front leg regardless of where your back leg is, and you're reaching your arms forward and up and then you're pulling them back behind you. So we're coming into some really nice shoulder flexion and then shoulder extension. We're gonna go back and forth for a bit. You decide, right? It's just as good to have your back knee down. Some of you might want this option, okay? See if you can play with it, okay? This is another one that it's truly a full body movement, right? Good. See if you can do one more in each direction. Awesome. And then you're going to plant your blocks down on your mat. You can do medium high height or highest height. You decide. Walk them forward in front of you a bit and pull your left knee to your chest. Now let's relax the head and the neck completely. So you're standing on your right leg, single leg stand. Great. And then all you're going to do is shift your weight into the front of your right foot and the back of your right foot. So it's just a weight shift, but I want you to see what you feel in your right leg, in your right glute, in your foot, in your ankle. What do you notice? And is your head and your neck tensing again, or can you relax it? Good. Really nice. We pause somewhere in the middle of that foot, right? So not favoring the heel, not favoring the ball of the foot. Find the center. Bring the left toes to the floor. The left heel stays lifted, and we roll our spine on up in this shape. So we're up at standing, right foot is flat, left heel is lifted, and we're all the way up. Okay, now we're gonna just do some feel good roll downs here. So turn your chest and your head towards your left, but don't change your feet. So you just kind of rotate to the left, drop your chin, and then roll down any amount. You bend your knees at a certain point, and then reverse it. Roll on back up. So it's your familiar spinal roll down, but we change the orientation of the feet, okay? Now turn your body to the right, drop the chin to the chest, and do the same thing. See if you can roll down, might challenge your balance a little, and then roll back up. We're gonna do one more to each side. Turn to the left, roll it on down, and then turn to the right. And you're definitely going to want to bend the knees at a certain point. That will help you get a little closer to the ground, maybe get a little more of a stretch. Great. We're all the way back up. We sweep the arms up to frame the ears. We're hinging the hips back this time. They go back. Good. See if you can plant your hands down on your blocks for a second and step this left leg all the way back. And then you'll want to take your hands down on your mat. And we're going to actually drop the left knee down. So I know we usually come into three-legged down dog now, but you're going to drop it down and you're going to extend the right leg back. It's hovering 1 inch off the floor. And you're just going to rotate your right hip away from your left leg and then rotate your hip towards your left leg. Good. Just play with that a few times. So it's hip, knee, and foot turn out, hip, knee, and foot turn in. Perfect. And then you'll bring your right knee in to meet your left. Send your hips back to your heels. We'll walk the hands over to the right side of the mat. Take a nice child's pose over here. Breathing into your left side ribs. And then when it feels right, you'll walk the hands over to the left side of the mat. And take some breaths into those right side ribs. Good. And then we'll come through center and step the left foot forward. Okay, so left hand goes right in between the hands. Now your hands are coming on your left thigh, and we're driving the left knee past the toes and then pulling it back, okay? So it goes past the toes. Yep, awesome. So this is just great for our walking in general to continue to practice this dorsiflexion. Good. Okay, so now what's second is you deciding if you're going to do this with your back knee lifted or if you're going to keep the back knee down, right? If you just need help getting up, you can grab your wall or your chair. You can always choose to do it with the back knee down. And your left heel stays down as you drive the knee forward. It doesn't lift up. Good. From here, we're going to think about how to get our blocks in our hands. So if you need to come back down to pick them up, you can do that. If you're okay to just reach for them and come back up, you can do that. You're leaning your torso over your front leg, whether your knee is up or down, and you're reaching your blocks up, and then you're reaching your blocks back. So your shoulders are coming into their flex range, and then they're going back into shoulder extension. Good. I would definitely put your awareness in your left heel, whether your back knee is down or up. Good. Really nice. And then when you're ready, we're planting those blocks down, whatever height you want. They're in front of you, and you're pulling your right knee to your chest. Your left leg is straight but not locked, and then you're rocking your body weight back and forth. Check in again with your head and your face and your jaw. See if you can relax it. And you're just rocking back and forth here. Ball of the foot and heel. Good. Find somewhere that feels like middle ground. Plant your right foot down. The right heel stays lifted. Rock your hips back and then do your nice roll on up. Really round your spine. Slouch through your spine as you articulate it up. Good. Now you're turning your chest and your head to the right. We're rolling down the right side of the body. You bend your knees at a certain point and roll back up. And then turn to the left. Drop the chin to the chest, rolling down. And this is another one. You can really move like at your own pace. If you like to go really slow on these, you might go slower than me. If you'd rather go a little quicker right now, you can do that as well. Definitely bend your knees though. It will help you. It will help you in the movement. Okay, we'll do one more down to your left. You might feel some different types of stretching that you don't usually feel. Good, and we'll meet in the middle. We'll reach our arms up, grow nice and tall. We'll come through a hinge now. So the hips are going back, 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 back. Arms are forward. Great. You plant your hands down on your blocks, probably. Send your right leg back. So you're in a runner's lunge. Drop your right knee to the floor. And then we'll want our hands on the mat. And your left leg is going all the way straight back behind you. And it's about an inch off the floor. Okay. Then this is where we're going to do our hip opener airplane movement. Yep. So hip opens and then hip closes. So can you rotate your hip away from your right leg and then rotate your hip towards your right leg, externally rotating it and then internally rotating it. Nice job. We'll bring the left knee in to meet the right. Gonna keep the toes untucked and then just go ahead. See if you can sit your hips back towards your heels. If you can't, that's fine. Keep your hands on the mat in front of you. And we're gonna practice a sit and shift. So you can shift your hips over to one side and then shift your hips over to the other. And you can really adjust this accordingly to make it work for you. If you're okay to sit your hips back on your heels, okay, you're gonna go to one side. If you drop your hips to the right, you can bring your left hand to the floor and then side bend left. And that will give you a really nice side stretch in your right side body. And then you can do it on the other side when you side bend to the right. So you can do that option here, or you'll still get a really nice side body stretch if you keep your hands on the floor in front of you. Okay, so you decide which one you want, but see if you can use this to kind of wind down a bit. Let your breath come back to a more calm, neutral place. And then when you're ready, we'll sit to one side, swing the legs out in front of us and give them a really nice shake on the mat. It's a really nice way to get all the blood flowing, make sure nothing's stuck or sticking together. Get all the lymph moving, the backs of the knees. Good. And then you can just sit up nice and tall here if that works for you. You might put your blanket or your pillow underneath your hips. You decide. We're going to pay attention to the toes for a moment. So your big toe is going to move away from you and your four little toes are gonna move towards you. Maybe you're gonna try. And then your big toe moves towards you and your four little toes move away from you. See if you can alternate that back and forth. I wouldn't do it abruptly because sometimes the foot or the toes can like get crampy. So see what how it works for you, right? We're just trying to get some movement back there. So toes move away from you, big toes move away, big toes move towards. And the little toes are doing the opposite. Yeah, awesome. Okay, and then see if you can just spread all 10 toes apart as much as they'll go. Spread, 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 and then hug them together. Really squeeze them, hug them together. 3 more times. Spread as much as you can, and then hug. Yeah, awesome. We'll take the hands right behind the hips, bend the knees, plant the feet down on your mat, and we'll visit our windshield wiper. So you can let the knees fall to one side, come through center, and let the knees make their way to the other side. If you want to just focus on the hips and the legs here, you can stay here. If you want to get a little bit more of a spinal twist, when your knees drop to the left, you pick your right arm up and rotate and reach for something behind you. And then you come back around, your right arm goes back behind you, your legs lift up and they drop over to the right, and you lift your left arm up and reach for something behind you. So either option you decide, you can add in the twist or not. If you do add in the twist, it's really nice to reach at different angles. So sometimes you reach up from the top shelf, sometimes you reach down from the bottom shelf, and it will just help you get into different parts each time. Awesome. Okay, so from here, we'll make our way down onto our backs any way that works for you. So just kind of gently make your way down. And once you arrive, just take a moment to let the whole body be heavy. Just re-arriving here, just did a lot of movement, a lot of work. And gently rock your head side to side. Invite the facial muscles and the jaw to soften. And we'll do the little butterfly pose here. So the soles of your feet are going to come together. So Supta Baddha Konasana in Sanskrit. So soles of feet come together, sides of feet are on your mat, knees open as much as you're comfortable. Okay, if your knees open and your whole back arches off the floor, don't open the knees quite so much. All right, and then let's visit cactus position with our arms like it's either goalpost or cactus position, however you like to visualize it. And then again, check in with these knees. Like if your knees are very open and you don't feel your spine on the floor, draw your knees closer together. Okay. Now your elbows are a fixed point. They don't move, but your hands and your forearms lift up and you bring them over to the other side of your elbow. So try to reach your hands towards the floor on the other side of your elbow and then lift back up and reverse it. So see if you can play with this a few times. We're bringing the shoulders through a more externally rotated position. And then as the hands lift up and over, they move into a more internally rotated position. We'll do one more. Awesome. And then arms can go out into a T. Slowly start to draw your knees towards each other. They connect. And then lengthen your legs long on your mat. And you're lifting your right leg up a little, just lift up a little higher than your left leg. And then cross it over your body and reach your right toe towards the floor. And we're going to hold this for a few breaths. It's okay if your leg is dangling off the floor here for a few breaths, unless it's uncomfortable, in which case you could put a block or something underneath it. Okay, we're just gonna hold this twist for maybe 5 to 7 breaths, depending on the rate of yours.
right? But feel free to let the eyes close if that is soothing or calming to you. Now we're really in down regulation mode. So softening the fingers and the toes, just letting the body kind of relax into any position or place it wants to go. And then you'll unwind, you'll lift that right leg up and bring it back, and we'll go to the other side. So your left leg lifts up, crosses over the body, and it just reaches towards the floor. It might touch, it might not. Don't worry about your left shoulder blade, that might lift or it might not. Just kind of let the skeleton fall into place in a way that feels good to you. And we'll take a few moments of stillness. And then let's unwind and take any happy baby variation that you love. You can just bend the knees and bring them nice and wide. You might grab onto shins, ankles. You might get into grabbing the toes or the bottoms of the feet, whatever variation you like. And you might stay still or you might rock side to side. You might bend and straighten the knees, might do a combo of all of them and just explore, right? If you tend to have trouble like relaxing your neck, sometimes that's related to relaxing the pelvic floor and holding this in a happy baby and trying to breathe into the pelvic floor and relax it can be a great way to get the pelvic floor and the neck and the jaw to all relax. Just a possibility. And then feel free to take any other micro adjustment, shape, movement that's going to feel good to you and make your way into a final relaxation shape. So if your chair is still handy, you might want to settle back into the way we started class. That can be a really restorative shape. Or you can just rest with you and your mat. You don't need props necessarily, but make yourself completely comfortable. So, whatever that means to you right now, and see if you can let the whole body be heavy and soft, noticing the parts of your body making contact with your mat, the back of the head, backs of the shoulders, and the different parts of your spine. Checking in again with your breath, noticing any changes since we checked in at the beginning? Relaxing and letting go of any tension or tightness in the abdomen or in the chest. And we'll take a few minutes to just be. Start to guide your attention back to your body if it wandered off. Start to wiggle fingers and toes. Maybe you want to circle wrists and ankles a few times, or maybe stretch out the face. That can feel really good. No one can see you. Just kind of scrunch it up and stretch it out. And maybe you want to hug the knees in towards the chest and gently rock side to side, or maybe a full body stretch would feel nice. And then take your time rolling over. You might pause for a second on your side. And when it feels good to you, you can press yourself on up to your comfortable seat. And one more time, we can all come together and reach the arms up, grow nice and tall, float the palms together and come through heart center. We'll bow forward in gratitude for practicing together today. I hope that felt so good. Let me know if you